Yo, Reuben here. This is a little video. We're trying to keep up some videos coming through this lockdown period. This is Sunday of the first weekend of lockdown here in New Zealand. And last weekend we went to Matsuri, so you've probably already seen that video. It's been uploaded. And yeah, so we've got a lot of time on our hands. Got my number one helper here. Say hi, Remy. He's trying to help me. He's not doing a very good job. So yeah, just gonna run you through a little bit about the car, because we didn't really talk about it much at all in the last video. So yeah, we're talking about the Mark II. So yeah, but first off, I'm going to give her a bit of a water blast, a bit of a clean up. She's still pretty mucky from Taupo, so we'll get her all cleaned up and then run through a few bits and bobs. What? Alright, so finished giving her a clean up. Yeah, so anyway, we have a 97 Toyota Mark II. This was a factory turbo car, but it was automatic. It was converted in Japan. Is that where you are? What are you doing in there?
This one.
You playing with Dad's earplugs? Yeah. That's pretty gross. Yeah, so it was converted in Japan, I believe. Bought in by a friend of ours, Vincent, and he got it all road legal here. Yeah, so it's pretty tidy. I'm pretty sure it's a facelift model. It's got the center light thing. Man, I don't know much about these cars. I just know they look cool. So it's got I think this is a Traum rear bar, and Vertex sides and front lip. So it's just the lower lip section that fits on the bottom. You can see where it sort of just slips in through here, just to tight it on. Don't! It's got these cool eyelid things on the headlights, but these headlights actually have to come out. Something's going wrong with the HID setup, because it's got these crazy additional halo things in here, and it's just, I don't know what's going on. So I've got some new headlights sent over by Jesse Streeter in Japan, along with a front grille. So yeah, these are the new headlights. These are out of yeah, they're exactly the same as what's in there, but they don't have the little halo rings around them. And I got the budget model JZX100 grille, just because I prefer the straight lines over the Tourer. Oh, it's not Tourer V, is it? I don't know. Over this, it's kind of hard to see, but it's got little indents all the way along. which I'm not really super into. It's already got these D-Max corner lights. I'm pretty sure these are D-Max. So yeah, that pretty much, oh, and it's got a friggin' sunroof, which is sick. Sunroof, and it's got an Origin roof spoiler there, which is pretty cool. Are you going fishing? What have you caught?
Fish.
Looks like a whole lot of nothing in there, mate.
I got a big fish.
Okay. So yeah, that pretty much sums up the exterior. Oh, it's got these cool sort of aftermarket lights as well, and it's got all these weird little gizmos. Like it's got a light here, so when you open the door, or something, unlock it. I can't remember. This light comes on, which is kind of cool. So yeah, suspension wise, it's got some G-ready coilovers in it. They felt pretty good on the weekend. I was a little dubious about them, but they seem pretty good. They're base adjustable. The springs probably need to be a bit stiffer in the front. The rears seem okay. I had it on full hard, obviously, because I was running 265s all around. But yeah, it still felt pretty good. A lot of movement in the suspension, which is cool, and it seems with the dampening adjustment there's going to be room to improve with what's there. So I may end up going with a 22 kg front and an 8 kg rear, which seems to be what most of the Japanese cars use. Just looking through Drift Team Goku, that's pretty much my only reference for this build. Yeah, so the car came on the CR Kais. I put my extremes up front, and I've got these 255 35 Nixon Inferas, which I got through Ben Jenkins. They were legit good. They felt really good. But yeah, this big heavy car was chewing them up. So I don't know how many track days those are going to last, but they felt. Alright, so front suspension setup includes, you see the G-ready coilovers there. It's got Type S or Type R on it, but I don't know which one it is. It's kind of hard to tell. And so some hard race caster arms, and I assume those top camber arms are hard race as well. They could be Cusco, I'm not 100% sure. Yeah, so camber, caster adjustment, and then under here the lock setup. We got Kazama lower control arms. Now these are like a cast arm, they're not a cut and welded and lengthened arm, so they're a full one piece unit. It's kind of hard to see. So they're one piece. They're about 25mm longer than stock, and also the knuckle is a Heyman knuckle, made by Shinji Minowa in Japan. So I think these are his 800 PS model. So the thing's got pretty decent lock and it feels good to drive with anyway. I've also chucked a 30mm spacer up front to increase the sort of scrub radius. It feels pretty good when I drove it at Taupo. So yeah, I think we've also got some like slightly longer tie rod rack ends and tie rod ends as well, just because of the lengthened lower arm, the wider track. These need to be slightly longer. So and I just don't know if you can see, there's also a 30mm roll center adjuster in there. Yeah, so that sits on top of the knuckle in between the hub carrier there, just to bring everything back down to sort of more normal geometry, although I've jacked this car up pretty high, which I'm sure a lot of people don't really like. But yeah, the car feels pretty good. I'm not too sure on those spring rates at the front. The rear spring rate's at 8 kg, which was quite a nice little surprise. They're a 180 14 by 62 mil. So I'm pretty sure 180 is the length. 14 is the kg rating, which is really soft. Can't really see. And 62 is the diameter. So yeah, probably a little soft in the front for what we're using it for. 8s in the rear are good, but we'll probably need at least a 20 or 22 kg up front for drifting, which is a bit more ideal. So we may look at doing a spring upgrade on these shocks. So interiors are all pretty stock. The car just was all stock when I got it off Willie, but yeah, it came with this all black Recaro, which is, I've never seen an all black Recaro like this, which is I'm real stoked about. It looks really cool. Picked up this Momo wheel, suede wheel, which feels real nice. Car already had the shirts tucked in gear knob, which is cool, nice and high, because when you sit in these, I found, like in my Barossa, my elbow would hit on the center console a lot, but with the higher gear knob, you know, it gave me a bit more room there for activities. It's got the little spin turn knob as well, drift knob on it. It's got these JDMAs floor mats, and it's got a freaking DVD player in it. This car has actually had like some really good sound system stuff in it. You can kind of see like some Kevlar or something speakers up here. One of them's blowing on the passenger side, driver's side, and it's actually got a kicker subwoofer mounted in where the factory subwoofer goes. So there's no amp though, so I've got to chuck an amp in it. We'll get an amp in there and get all the speakers sorted out, because it'd be pretty cool to have some good sound system in there. So in the back, it's all stock. These are actually seat covers. This is a leather seat cover. It actually looks pretty legit, but I don't know if it's really my thing. We'll see. But yeah, all stock interior, the carbon trim all through. Got a nice strut brace through the back there. So yeah, overall inside's pretty tidy. Take a look where all the magic happens. There it is, the old 1J. It's got this real mishmash of like intercooler piping and stuff. I don't think it's a Trust kit or G-Ready kit. I think it's an HPI kit. So yeah, all the intercooler piping's like just made up of all sorts. It's got the old teal curse on it already, so I have to get rid of that. It's got the J-pipe delete, so it's got this intake pipe down there which all the breathers run into. I haven't had any issues so far with it like that. Hey, how are you? You alright? So yeah, haven't had any issues with it like that. Like on my Barossa I did a J-pipe delete, and it started idling weird and doing all sorts of weird stuff, and it hasn't seemed to be an issue on this thing so far. So yeah, it's got a shitty air filter, and it's got some kind of exhaust 3-inch most of the way. I put some heat sleeving on here, some fire sleeve, just had some like reflective tape stuff on there. The last thing we want is it burning down. It's got this massive radiator. This all came from Japan like that, and it's also actually got an oil cooler kit on it as well, which is hiding back here behind the intercooler, which all runs down this way, and behind here is a oil filter relocation, because the oil filters are notoriously hard to get at on these things. So it's actually quite helpful that that is there. So yeah, that's pretty much it. It's got a mess of wires in there. Some of them we've already taken out. Had a bunch of gauges and stuff in there, and this weird earthing kit. So we've pulled all that out. I mean, it's stuff like this. You know, it actually drives me nuts. So we've got to want to get into it and rip a bunch of the stuff out. It's unnecessary. You can see down here, I don't know if you can see it or not, we got 2 HID packs plus a whole friggin' swagger like friggin' wires. I have no idea what they do, so we'll pull all those out. Put these other headlights in, put the other grille on. So stockpiling a few parts already. This is all suspension stuff. I've gone with hard race stuff. I know it's not JDM. I know it's not really probably that cool, but they use rubber bushings, and on a street car I just think it's going to be a lot less noisy, plus it's going to make you know, it's already certified, but I'm pretty much resigned to the fact it's going to need to get recertified, because there's a few things I'm going to be doing that's going to need certification to drive on the roads here, and having rubber bushings is one of the things that is going to make certification a lot easier. So got the rear, those are the rear camber arms, toe arms, so the rear toe arms. Yeah, so those are the rear traction arms. Will look exactly like an S13 S14 rear tow rod. Rear bush subframe bush kit. So I know these are solid, but these are a pretty good option, I think. So these look pretty grunty. So the only other thing I really need to get to upgrade the rear end is diff bushers. So I'll probably look at Serial 9 ones. They're a Delrin, so they're kind of like a hard rubberized kind of plastic, so they're really hard, and they got an aluminium insert. So I think that'll be pretty good for a rear diff bush. So the main aim of the car at the moment is, now that there's not really any drifting going to be happening for a while, is to get the car road legal, ready for a warrant. Had a few things. Will took it for a warrant before we swapped cars, so I know what it needed. He took it to AA, so it was pretty full on. So it had a few things that needed sorting. He sorted the major ones, and I just sort the smaller bits, which isn't really too much of a problem. So yeah, we've got to get those done. One of those was the headlights. They just weren't working properly or pointing in the right direction. So yeah, hence the reason getting these ones here. They look really nice too, actually. They're super clear. The ones on here are a little dusty. So yeah, like overall I'm pretty excited about this project. I've always loved JZX100s, I've always loved Mark IIs. I love the 180 stuff. I love driving it. It was super cool. but it was getting to a point where I couldn't put my son in it for like at least another 10 years. And if I don't know if I'm still going to be drifting in 10 years, so kind of wanted to get something that was road legal and street legal, and I can put my son in his car seat in the back and take him for drives and stuff like that, because he's starting to get into cars. So that was the big reason behind doing the swap and getting rid of the 180. I don't have room for two cars that don't get used often, so it was just pointless having the 180 and another car. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with the swap so far. There's a little niggly clutch issue which I think is going to require a new clutch, which is a bit of a pain in the butt. I mean, my garage is tiny. Like pulling an R154 out in this garage is going to be a monumental pain in my ass, but it'll have to be done. I'm going to change the slave cylinder first. The clutch was kind of sticking on in second and third as it rolled on to boost, so I'm thinking it could have been like a clutch, the slave cylinder sort of sticking and then popping out, but I really don't know. I'll probably take the gearbox to Michael at Casper and have it looked over. It's getting a little crunchy going into third, so may as well do like a billet selector and you know, a few upgrades as we can, just to sort of foolproof it. The plan long term is to put a bit more power into the car. I have a rough idea of what I want to do. Should probably involve a GDX3076, like a 1000cc injectors, a link plug-in, which they do now for these cars, or they will be doing. They did the G4 Plus plug-in, then that got cancelled because the G4X is coming out. So just waiting for the G4X plug-in to be made available. So I'm sort of hoping to make a reliable 330 to 350 rear wheel kilowatts. I think that'll make this car pretty fun to drive. So that's the sort of main plan, hopefully by the end of the year, depending on how long this lockdown takes and whether my business is bankrupt after it, but at this stage we're all good. Oh, and the diff, yeah, rear diff, it's got a two-way in there already. Not too sure on the brand, but that's one thing I'm definitely going to do after driving last week, and it needs a it needs a shorted rear diff badly. I think it's a factory 3.9 in there, so the aim is to look out for a 4.3 or a 4.5, a 4.56, which is their Hilux ring and pinions. I don't want to sacrifice the highway driving too much, but yeah, probably go with a 4.3, I think, just to have a nice balance between sort of zippy pickup and highway cruising. So yeah, anyway, that's a bit of a rundown on the car.